to the Voiceover Round Table. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Round Table.
Hey, Emma O'Neill, how's it going?
Hello, Mr. Michael Tobin. How are you?
My mother calls me Michael, but I'll let you.
Thanks. Does it like Vio's sister count? I don't know.
Something like that, yes. Sure. How you been?
I have been good. Except that it's freezing rain in Toronto, so I'm not impressed by that. But, Canada. So
It's hard to do something without talking about weather here in Canada.
I know.
Now, this time of year especially. So.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
But I concur. It is fantastic for us to be doing a live show, especially to everybody coming in who is celebrating Thanksgiving in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you for being here. But we're thrilled that the Voiceover Roundtable is now reaching an even bigger audience of listeners now that replays are available as podcasts, with more episodes being added every week. So if you want to get caught up on past shows, search the Voiceover Roundtable on all major podcast platforms or check out our website, VORoundtable.com. We've got another amazing show for you tonight, so let's get things going.
Indeed we do, and it feels like kind of like a part two from last week, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Before we introduce our special guest, I want you to listen to this.
It's the season premiere of the #1 talk show in daytime. Dr. Phil is next. Entertainment Tonight in high definition. Now, the most watched entertainment news magazine in the world. Live from the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles, California, your 71st Annual Academy Awards. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Robert De Niro. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Hanks. Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Spielberg.
Anybody else getting goosebumps? I mean, those iconic phrases and A-list intros are known the world over and voiced by our guest tonight, the preeminent voiceover artist in America. Her resume is absolutely stunning. The Oscars 10 times, the Super Bowl 3 times, Emmy Awards 5 times, Tony Awards 20 times, Screen Actors Guild Awards 5 times, and Entertainment Tonight 14 years and counting.
And most recently, she became the first female announcer in Nightline's 38-year history on the ABC network. She can be heard announcing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony 4 times, the Kennedy Center Honors 4 times, and is the promo voice for ABC News Nightline. She is the female standard in the industry, says Entertainment Tonight producer Kevin Gershon.
Her career began as a radio personality in New York, Los Angeles, Detroit, and Miami. Throughout the years, she's always given back to the business that has been so good to her and has done it in a meaningful and selfless way.
As an advisory board member of the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab in Los Angeles, she mentors aspiring voice artists with the tools and mindset necessary to succeed in this competitive industry. Her mantra is, live your dream, use your voice.
I love it. The Voiceover Roundtable is absolutely thrilled to welcome to the show a voiceover legend and unmistakable voice of the entertainment world, the world over. Please welcome Randy Thomas.
Oh, that was such a lovely intro. Thank you guys so much for that. Very kind.
Well, I feel like we could continue and just go and go and go with a career like yours. It's like we could have been here 4 hours later, and then
oh my goodness,
putting
you would have left for the
samples, putting together the samples. I'm like, which do I choose? Like, it's such a breadth of work to choose from. It was amazing. So it's just some of the snippets, but it's so great to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanksgiving week. Yes, it occurred to me as you were doing your opening. I'm like, Thanksgiving means nothing to these two.
Well, it did last month.
That's right. So you do it a month early, a month before us. And what are you celebrating in your Thanksgiving? Was that you, the Canadians and the Indians?
It's the same kind of idea, really. It's just probably a little less, I don't know. It is similar in general. I try to stay away from Thanksgiving type.
Right.
Yes. I focus more on family and actually giving thanks and being in a state of gratitude.
Yeah.
Now,
Go ahead, Randy. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I agree, Emma. That is exactly what Thanksgiving should be about, appreciating friends and family and being grateful for whatever you have, whatever you have to make a meal and invite someone over and share it with them.
Yeah. I'm glad that's kind of where it skews now, that it's about being grateful and being, appreciative of those around you and the things you have. And,
yeah. My daughter and them, they all do Friendsgiving. So I love that,
Yeah, and just to make a note, it's not about ignoring the Indigenous past or anything like that.
Of course.
Just making sure that we are
connected
and grateful. Eyes forward.
Yeah. And in gratitude, always.
Sure. Always. So, Mike.
Yeah.
I believe there's something that you like to do with guests.
Well,
his wicked laugh.
Ready? Again, we want to thank you for making time to be with us and be with the listeners. We're so grateful. Now, something we like to do, and if you caught the beginning of the show last week with Joe Sip, you probably heard it. If you weren't there at the beginning, well, good. It's a quick round of rapid fire questions, like easy to answer stuff. First thing that jumps in your head. And you should know, we try to be a responsible show, so...
The following segment contains at least 25% recycled material, helping to reduce waste while striving for improvement every time.
If you're wondering what that's all about, we had Joe Sip on last week, and he's saying, you have to write new questions for Randy, otherwise she'll be more prepared than I was. But there were a few questions that were, we were like, no, we want to put those questions to Randy. So, ready? Rapid fire questions, 10 of them.
Okay.
Don't worry, you got it.
I'm very nervous. Go.
We're good. We're going to start with the really personal stuff first. First question. Your favorite famous screen dog out of these options? Snoopy, Blue of Blue's Clues, of course, Marmaduke, or Brian from Family Guy?
Well, without a doubt, it's got to be Marmaduke.
Of course.
Great Dane girl.
Let's go ahead. We'll stay on theme. Question number 2. How many dogs is too many?
When there's Great Danes, more than 2.
All right. This one taking big left turn. Mac or PC?
Mac. Is that even a question? I'm sorry.
So love the answer.
I didn't say it. Here's one of the repeat ones. And this is why you'll understand right away why I couldn't take it out. Let's put you in the situation that you've been in probably many times before. You're announcing a major televised awards show when your manager comes into your booth to tell you that your favorite music artist has asked if you want to hang out after the show. Who would they be talking about?
Oh, goodness. Actually, what popped into my head is when I was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it was Dave Grohl. So
fun. So it's like actually happened.
So yeah,
kind of
done. He seems like a hoot. He seems like a lot of fun.
He's crazy fun. Over the OTT.
Okay, so we're going to modify the next question because it was just very boring. But let's say you've gone out for a bite to eat late night after the show with Dave Grohl. What are you eating? What's your favorite food?
Oh, my goodness. It's so funny. These are questions 25 years ago would have had one answer, and today would have another. Late night, probably pancakes.
Ooh, late night pancakes.
Breakfast at midnight. I don't know.
Something like this.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, question number 6. If you had no other choice and had to pick only one to use for the remainder of your long career, large condenser microphone or shotgun microphone?
For me, it'll always be a shotgun. A large condenser, I would think that would really come in handy for more nuanced work, narration, commercials. Mine is, you can see my mic on Zoom, it's right there. You can
Yeah.
project. I take it with me when I do a live gig. Not everybody has a 416, and I'll show up with it, and I'll be like, "Can we use this?" They're always happy.
Nice. This one might kind of put you on the spot, but I think it'll be okay. It's not like a only person, but who is another voice artist that you admire?
I admire so many. Well, Joe, who you had on last week, he and I have been good friends for many, many years, so he pops into my mind.
Wonderful. And I know you attended an event together. You was talking about that. Maybe we'll touch on that a little.
We are on the advisory board of the Don LaFontaine Voiceover Lab that he and Paul and George Whittam created, and then I came aboard. Yeah.
All right, we've got a couple more questions. Actually, more than a couple. 3 more questions. This is a fun one. Question number 8. You get to pick a car for a day of driving on the coastal highway. What car would it be?
If I'm going to be riding down PCH, I'd like it to be a convertible.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to be specific with the model, just let's say a convertible.
All right. Leads me to the next question. Automatic or stick?
Gosh, I haven't done an automatic a stick in a million years. So I'll say automatic.
Okay.
But I don't know. You give me a Porsche with a convertible.
Yeah, true.
Here's a vintage
I can handle
Porsche
that.
stick. You can take that for the day?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll slum it a bit, All right. Last question. We all, as voice actors, have a dream job we'd love to land one day. I'm sure you've ticked a lot of those off of your list, but maybe there's something that's eluding you, or something that's come up in a new, vein or something like that. So what's a bucket list voiceover job for Randy Thomas?
Wow. Well, I cannot even tell you how grateful I am to be able to say I've done most of those jobs. That has actually been something I've experienced, which is mind-blowing. But maybe my dream job is one that will happen in the future when they need a global American voice to talk to all of the extraterrestrials that are here in some sort of global universal meeting, that I get to be the earthly voice. That
You are the
would be
human
true.
Love it.
The voice representative of humans. Please welcome
Of Earth. The voice of Earth.
the voice of Earth, broadcast across the galaxy. Amazing.
Oh my God, these are always so much fun. I totally didn't expect that one at all. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. It's so great. Okay, let's get into this, because this is, I feel like we're already off to a running start. So I think this is awesome. So personally, I'm a huge fan. And so I've looked to your career for years as inspiration. I want to know how it all started. I know that you had your radio days at the intro, but tell us about the beginnings of voiceover for you.
Well, I was someone who really was challenged growing up. I never had a path that was laid out for me. I was never encouraged that, education is the way to go, and then you want to go to college. I didn't have anything like that. So I was a pretty scrappy kid trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Of course, I was drawn to the acting world, and I went to New York to study. But when I got back to Detroit, where I was from, something told me I needed to use my voice, and I thought I would be using it on stage in a theater, but it really worked out that I became a DJ. It was early on for women to step into the role of being on the air. It was pretty well dominated by men. And I found my voice in radio. And it was, I'm a big believer in Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers book, where he talks about the 10,000 hours to mastery. Yep. So I believe that 20 years on the radio gave me my 10,000 hours and more of just opening up the microphone and talking to your listeners, whatever city I was living in, whether it was Detroit, Miami, LA, or I lived in Dallas. I was on the radio there in New York, and just opening the mic and talking and being yourself. So that was where it began. But then when I was doing rock radio in Los Angeles in the 80s, hooked on phonics, I was introduced to the creator, and he really liked my voice. So I became the voice of his product, Hooked on Phonics, as well as all the commercials.
That's awesome.
Epic. That is
so
epic.
in the 80s and early 90s, Hooked on Phonics, it was one of those programs that was heard once. The commercial was heard once every 30 seconds somewhere in America for about 5 years. So it was an incredibly, incredibly successful program, and it wasn't a union job. I was a union DJ, but this wasn't a union job, but they more than compensated. The union's always looking to help you and take care of you and make sure you get residuals and things like that. But they took care of me in a way that went well above what the union would have done for me. So anyway, that was my experience with Hooked on Phonics. And then doing mornings on the Wave in Los Angeles when I had a chance to audition for the Oscars. It was never something I dreamt about or thought about. I had no clue what live television was like. But when I auditioned, I felt really comfortable in that moment, looking at the director and the producer of the Oscars and them handing me cards and telling me to read them. And booking that job definitely changed my life. So that was sort of how it went. And then once I did the Oscars and I decided to fall face first into full-time voiceover, you have to figure out what your path is, where you're most likely to earn a living, and what you can do consistently every day to take you closer to those jobs that you book. You know, if you're in commercials, getting that commercial that runs for a year, you can buy a house, you know. I mean, I'm a total union girl, so that's where I believe it makes the difference for you to earn a living versus having a career. For me, that's how I feel about the union. So did I answer your question, Emma?
Yeah. And then some. And then
And I want to rewind back just a little bit, because there was a part in there that I feel you just blazed right past and, you know, glossed over. And that was something about the Oscar.
Before you were full-time, like you just got the Oscars and then decided maybe I should do this full-time.
Now, in fairness, it was live announcing, really voiceover. No, we're not going to dice those chopping things.
It's true. For a long time, I didn't know that I was a voiceover actor, you know, a voice actor. I thought I was just a voiceover artist because I use my voice. But that's not true. We have to be an actor. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
I want to sneak into the booth, or I think it's actually sometimes a trailer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Generally.
And I want to know, like, literally, give us a snapshot. What is it like doing that job? I mean, one of the most watched television programs on the planet, probably. I think it is. Is it not the most, or one of them?
Not anymore. It used to be. Way bigger audience.
Yeah.
Back in the day than more recent.
Kind of a bit of a big deal. So
it's a huge deal, regardless of how many people are watching in real time. Yeah, it's listen, Hollywood is the pinnacle of success in the entertainment industry, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are doing anything that is aligning you with the people who are at the pinnacle of their career, and that's really what the Oscars represents. The writers, the costume designers, the actors, the directors, the producers, the sound effects. Everyone is all at the top of their game, and they are there to celebrate the art. And that's what makes it so super exciting. We really never know who's going to win, as was obvious a few years ago. And it's just an honor to be there. I think that getting to do that for the first time and not having watched it like I watched it as a kid, but I never watched it critically as someone would do now. That's like, she's done the Oscars. I want to watch that show. I want to figure out how they do that. But I didn't even think about that. I just had an opportunity. I went for it. And I realized I was really good at what I do, at being really live. And I think I figured that out in radio when you had to rip and read traffic reports, you know, and if it just came to you, we'd have to rip and read newscasts, you know. And if you could read live without having even pre-read it, that's a pretty good indication you might be good at live announcing.
Right. But for something like the Oscars, with the high profile, you know, of this type of event, their rehearsals, their practice, you get some content in advance, nominees and those kind of things. How do you prepare for this, and what does leading into the night look like?
So when you get the Oscars and you are booked, the first thing you do about 6 days before the show, you're not a part of the show until you go in and do your full day of recording. And those recordings that you do are the nomination packages, you know, when you're watching and they say, and the nominees are, and then you see the list of 5 women, and we see them in context with the films that they're in. It's the announcer's job to read all of those nominee packages. And the names, a lot of them are new. They're from Scotland and Albania. I mean, they're like from places all over the world, and names that you couldn't pronounce. And there's a woman from the Oscars who is the historian, and she sits with the announcer, and you go through all the nomination packages, and she corrects name by name, film by film, or whatever the name of whatever it was. She helps you get through it. They package those, and then when they know who's going to be introducing which award, those 2 stars, usually it's a man and a woman, they get a copy of the package that they're going to read, and they will listen to the announcer read it for the pronunciation or for whatever they need to know. Right. And the only time you ever actually hear the announcer on the Oscars is if someone didn't show up for rehearsal when we grab them and they pre-tape their part. So if the announcer is ever heard, it's because that person didn't make it to rehearsal. That's pretty much one of the secrets. So that's how you start. And then a few days later, you go into rehearsal, and all of the award shows, whether it's the let's say the Emmys, the Tonys, Golden Globes, all of these awards are, let me see, what was the point I'm trying to make here? I just lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. We were talking about the awards and all the different awards.
You're talking about in the days leading up to, like 3 days before or something like that.
Yeah. So rehearsal. Depending on what show you're doing and the budget they have defines how many days of rehearsal you get. So the Oscars have the biggest budget. You get the most rehearsal days, which would be maybe Thursday, Friday, like 4 days maybe. Tonys, you only get 2 days of rehearsal. Some things are day of only, and then you go live that night. So it's about their rehearsal schedule and how they pull it all together.
Rip and read.
Yeah. But you have a script. Once you do your initial recording, you have the script. But a lot of times it'll say pages to come, you know. So a lot of it's missing. But generally, the announcer's part is already there, and it's all in context. And you read through it and make sure you know how to say all the names and that sort of thing. That's probably the thing that hangs most people up, is the pronunciations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I've had this question in my head for a long time, and now to get the opportunity to ask it is amazing. But I think I know the answer, but I want to ask you.
Okay.
Why in a trailer?
Because it's so funny, when they build these venues, they don't really think about where would an announcer go.
Right.
And they're set for, bands and costumes and makeup and the artists that have to have their own dressing rooms, but they never set up a space for the announcer. And so for the Oscars, they put us in it's called a Gelco, this kind of truck. And Tina, who's the supervising script supervisor, she and the announcer, so we've done it numerous times, but whatever announcer is doing the show, Tina and the announcer sit together, and Tina is the one that writes all the winner walk-ups, so that when they say, and the Oscar goes to, she's got 5 possibilities, and you're listening together, and then she points to the one you read. And then you listen, and it's either the director or the associate director will go, stand by, announce, and cue announce. Because first the camera has to get that person in the audience, and then they get up, you see them hugging and kissing people, and as they're walking is when they cue you to say whatever has been written about them that escorts them right up to the mic on stage. Yeah, so you have to read quickly. We always know where they're sitting in relation, and Tina, since she writes it and she can see where everyone's sitting, if they're really up close, she'll write a very short walk-up. If they're all the way in the back, like a lot of the screenwriters in foreign films and things like that, if they're all the way in the back, she can write something longer.
So you're relying mostly on audio cues, whereas they have the visual cues, seeing screens, I would imagine, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, you get to see what's happening live. I only get the live like you're seeing at home on television. I don't see what the director's seeing. I only see what's being broadcast. So that also will give me an idea of they're getting really close. And so there's a couple of places where we can cut that copy so that they're never standing at the mic waiting for you to finish reading. That's awkward.
That would be awkward. Yeah.
Thank you for that peek behind the scenes. I love it.
I love it. And to shift just a wee bit from the Oscars, but something that seems to be changing a little bit more now, but probably was very, very different when you were building your career. The male domination, especially for genres like promo and live announce. What was that like for you stepping into that as a woman?
Well, yeah, I know that there were some women that were trying to find their feet in promo before I did the Oscars. There were a few women doing some promo. But once, I just found that the people in our industry, the producers, the casting people, the directors, they don't really change, and they're not proactive for women until there's a reason to be, and then they're more reactive. And that's what happened. Once I did the Oscars, they weren't like, well, at first it was like, get Randy. But then it was like, get a woman. And now it's really very rare that you hear a man on a major live award show. I think the trend shifted to women, and now women in promo, you hear them everywhere. I think it's beautiful. It really has changed. When I started, Don was the one, and Joe, he was doing Fox, and, women would find their ways into sessions and be included. And I'd go to Fox back in the day, and there were a couple of women out there that were doing promo, but then it sort of went away. It became male-dominated again. But then once we went digital to where everybody has a home studio and you no longer had to physically get to ABC, NBC, or CBS or any of the trailer houses, people like, Brian Lee, he certainly made his career from Fort Myers, Florida. He never comes to LA, and he's one of the most heard voices in the country. So things have changed a lot, and now you can be from anywhere. And I'm sure a lot of the women that you run with in the VO world are all making their strides right now and stepping into these roles.
Yeah. And living in like Dallas, Texas and Kansas City. And, it's like when people are like, I'm going to fly overstate. And you're like, it doesn't matter. You are talented. You have the skill to do it, and you're being booked.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I love it. I think Harley has stepped out of the building, but I wanted to talk to you about Great Danes.
Yeah.
Great Dane Rescue, because I know it's so dear to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
One Dane at a time. That's how Harley, my Harlequin Great Dane, came to me. This is one woman who runs a rescue. And you asked the question, how many Great Danes are too many? For me, I'm 110 pounds and my dogs weigh 140 each. 2 Great Danes is all I can handle. And I don't even walk them together. I only take one at a time because if they get activated, I'll be on my face in a second. So, I mean, I can control them, but it's easier if I'm only dealing with one at a time. So this woman, Erica, runs one Dane at a time. It's such a, I don't know what happened, but I think people started seeing photos online about Great Danes and Harlequins and how cute they are. And backyard breeders started breeding them. And there are types of Great Danes, you can't mix them and you get lots of physical problems. And my girl Magic, she almost had bloat. She was bloating. That's called torsion, where the stomach flips. And they die within 2 hours if you don't recognize it because there's no oxygen for their organs. And my dog, this happened to her last week. And if I didn't get her into emergency surgery, it was $5,000 to save her life. How many people have $5,000 that they can go pay? So unfortunately, this is why also we tell you to tack their stomachs when you get them spayed. My girl was a rescue. She wasn't tacked. So, but now she is after the emergency surgery. But they're big lovers. And this woman that runs one Dane at a time, if you just go to onedaneatatime.org, just see what she's doing. They're the sweetest, most amazing dogs. And in today's world where I don't know about where you're living, but here in LA, it's gnarly. And little dogs cannot help you. But if you have a big dog with a big bark, people will not come and bother you. I promise. No one's coming to my house to bother me.
Very, very true.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me mention them. One Dane.
Of course. They're big, they're overgrown lap dogs. Like they firmly believe that they are supposed to be sitting on your lap at all times.
They have no idea how big they are.
No.
Yeah.
They come in that booth all the time, don't they?
Well, Harley, my Harlequin, he thinks, because he loves his cubby, he's got a huge cubby that he fits in, but he thinks this is our cubby that we share.
Yeah.
Because it's a 10 by 12 and I shut the door. He's like, yeah, this is mom's in my cubby.
Randy, please remind me of the link so I can post it at the top of the room. So if anybody wants to check that out.
onedaneatatime.org. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. And we are going to get into questions, but there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. We had a conversation earlier today about an idea that you had this morning, and I love this idea, and I would love for you to talk about it. You called it Voices of Love.
Yeah, so thank you for asking about that. I was sitting this morning thinking about today and sharing this time with you and everyone that's coming in the room. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I'm not seeing all the names, but I do know that I know some of you, and I'm so happy to see you here, like Dennis and everybody else.
Janet Peters is here. She's sending.
Hi, Janet. Oh, Inyan, you're here. He just had a birthday the other day. So I was thinking about this time of year and how a lot of people, especially with what's going on in the world, are feeling very shaky. They're feeling very alone. They're grieving, some people, and they're also not sure of what's happening. There's such weird energy going on the planet right now. Yes. And I thought, we're people that use our voice, and I'm talking to everyone in this clubhouse room right now. So what I'd like to offer you, and Mike, if you'll also put my email address in the info, it's randythomasscripts@gmail.com. I wanted to create a series of 6-minute recordings that anyone can listen to and download over the holidays. And if you know someone who's alone that you wanted to send them this MP3, I wanted to talk about a couple of subjects in these messages of love. And one would be hope, gratitude, loving gestures, giving and receiving, grieving, celebrating, and even radical celebration. So I was on Instagram and I saw this wonderful poem that this woman, Donna Ashworth, I'm following her on Instagram, put out. And I was imagining, what could we deliver to someone? And you're all voice actors in this room, or you're actors with the ability to record. I want you to think of just something short, something sweet that you would like to tag on to other messages of hope and giving. And I'm going to figure out how to put these out there. But this inspired me, because imagine if you're feeling alone and someone is telling you, if every single person who has liked you in your lifetime were to light up on a map, it would create the most glitteringly beautiful network you could imagine. Throw in the strangers you've been kind to, the people you've made laugh or inspired along the way, and see that bright network that you could, that would be impressive sight to behold. So imagine the world lighting up with twinkle lights for everyone that you've touched in any way. For anyone feeling alone, like that would just illuminate me. It would ignite me if I felt that, yeah, I don't feel like I've done very much, but I did make a difference. I did reach out and touch people. So that's what I'm offering, is if you have something about hope, giving, caring, family, friends, and you want to just write it up, record it, and send it to me, send me an MP3. You don't have to send me a wave. Just send me an MP3, and I'm going to string them together, and hopefully Emma and Mike will post a link to where they can be, or I haven't figured out ultimately how I'm going to deliver them, but I have a germ of an idea. It started this morning. And if those of you that are in the room have a better idea than me how we could distribute it, and I know Dennis Kleinman is already the wheels in his brain turning. That was something that I thought I'd like to take from this room today, is connecting all of us and the ability for all of us to do something together to make someone else's holiday season a little brighter. And it costs nothing, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it's a great initiative. Yeah.
Speaking of Dennis, Mr. Kleinman, we're going to invite you up on stage because one of the other things that we were talking about was Drums of Grace. So it was something that you wanted to speak on as well, and I think that this is a perfect platform. And Dennis, there he is.
Yeah. Dennis, you here?
He's going to unmute himself in just a second.
Okay.
By clicking the microphone in the bottom left, bottom corner of your screen. There you are.
Hi.
There he is. You're here. Yay.
Hello.
Hello, darling.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, Randy. I'm loving the interview. It's so wonderful hearing your career and all the wonderful things you've achieved. Not that I didn't know it before, but it's nice hearing it again.
Thank you. Yes, I've made you sit and listen to me talk about my career endlessly, haven't I?
Well, over a few glasses of wine, it's not painful, I'll tell you that.
That's right. So, yeah, I know that a year or so ago, we put the Drums of Grace live on Clubhouse. I don't know if any of our fellow actors are in the room that were a part of Drums of Grace, but I know that we recently had those three. So the Drums of Grace is a dystopian novel. Take it from here, Dennis.
It was written by Randy's very close and old friend, Michael Rothenberg, who sadly passed away from cancer about a year ago. And in fact, Bo Barker's in the audience, and he plays Johns, which is one of the villainous characters, and did the most amazing job. Anyway, it's a fascinating book, and the interesting thing about Drums of Grace is it's so opportune in terms of the times that we're living in. It's about power. It's about denying people their rights and all sorts of things like that. And so we produced a studio version of the first 3 chapters of the book. And what we're hoping to do is to create either an audiobook out of it or potentially an animated series. We're still kicking around some ideas. But it's a fascinating book and so beautifully, beautifully written. I'm just sad Michael's not going to be around to see the ultimate success of the book.
Yeah. But it's an amazing story. So we did the first 3 chapters, and we're thinking about maybe bringing it back to Clubhouse, playing it live, and looking to find an audience that, there's more chapters. There were 10 chapters in all. So we would love for voice actors to be listening and want to participate if we continue to honor Michael by utilizing this amazing story that he wrote. And then did you like the idea of us creating just messages of hope?
Absolutely. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to record.
That's great. Yeah.
And I will definitely work with you on that, Randy. You and I have got this kind of synchronicity when it comes to these things. So
we do. We do. So, so those were the 2 things that I wanted to bring to the table today, Emma.
Oh, and I'm so glad that we were able to do that, because I think it's really important, especially the voices of love. When we spoke about that today, when you were talking about, especially that quote by Donna Ashworth, I was like, it's so true, because when you're having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month, like, you don't remember. It's so, your only focus really is that everything is bad. And you forget the people that you've touched. You forget all of the good that you've done. You forget all you've accomplished to be where you're standing. You're covered in this dark shroud. And that idea of, like, the pinpricks of light, that was just like, I love that.
That's so sweet. Thank you. Well, I hope those of you in the room that want to participate, we don't need a lot of people to do this. I just want different voices with different beautiful messages that I can thread together and then post them and make them available to share as a DM with anyone. Like, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Thought you would love this series of poems from whatever, I don't know.
Nice.
It's a wonderful, wonderful idea.
I think it has a lot of merit, and just got to think of how we can put it together and do it fairly. It won't take long to do that. And I think that people are very open for that because, as you said earlier, the world is in tremendous turmoil and uncertainty. And all we want to really do is have happy, loving lives. And it seems like everywhere we turn, we are being thwarted in that attempt. So.
Yeah. It's like, all we have is connection to each other, which is our humanity. And if we can touch each other at that level, we can change the world one word at a time, maybe. I really...
Yeah.
So obviously Thanksgiving is more of an American thing, but we are in the holiday season.
Yep.
And this is something we'll all celebrate. And I want to do something that has a little meaning to it this holiday. That's all.
And I think if we judge by the responses we're getting in the chat already, this will take off. And as Emma and I put the Canadian flavor on this, we have a way of making things snowball.
Right.
But I'm currently snowing where I am. I don't know about
such
you,
a dad.
Yeah.
So, Kat Peterson, when would you like them by? Let's say after Thanksgiving. So anytime after this coming weekend. When I'm gonna draw the line and say that's it, we're gonna go from here. I'll keep collecting if things keep coming, because it seems like these are beautiful. These will be beautiful messages. But yeah, so just start working on them and start sending them to me this week, next week.
It feels like we're part of the way to a SMART goal on this. So if we wanted to set a target of how many messages you'd like to have,
like that
way we have something to strive for,
Right. Well, I wasn't sure what the messages would be. So if they were categorized like hope, giving, I don't know what, then I could string them together accordingly, or maybe it'll be better random. I'm not sure until I see what we have. But if everyone takes the time to send me the script of what you've said along with your voice, I will find a way to share it, because the fact that you would take the time is everything.
I love it. All right. We're going to get lots of these. We're going to get lots of these. Folks, if you've joined us partway through this evening's show, this is the Voiceover Round Table, here live on Clubhouse every Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, where we talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community, bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
And tonight, our special guest is Randy Thomas.
And definitely some community action going on tonight. For sure.
It's so much fun.
Do we have?
So I did pop into the chat. I see someone said, I'm sorry I missed the introduction, but did you go to college? No, that would be the short answer. I did go to Oakland Community College in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And I dropped out after a semester because I got on the radio station at junior college. And it was when I got on the radio station that I went on and got on the radio in Detroit. And I was like, go to junior college or start my career. And so I opted to start my career. I think I made the right choice.
I think you did
okay.
too. You made absolutely the right choice.
But it's
some of
hard
us.
to be a mom, like I've raised my daughter and I'm like, school is important. College, really?
And she's like, really?
Tell me that.
I mean, college was the best 7 years of my life.
You're not even a doctor.
Joking. No, definitely not. But I play one on no.
Oh my God, he could go on for days if you let him.
Keep going. Keep going.
I'm just going to read a couple of the comments. Janet Peters says she loves you and your Great Danes. She had to pop off early, but she wanted to make sure that she said, I never loved a creative biz as much as I do voiceover. I'm in full gratitude, which is great. D is another animal rescue fan, D. Alvis. So he's got many, many dogs
Love that.
that he rescues always.
Yeah. I want more property and more dogs.
I'm
Love
looking
it.
at a comment from Max. I'll never forget listening to Randy in the 80s on 103 She in Miami.
That's right.
That station inspired me to get into radio and, of course, now VO. So thank you.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, WSHE, when the slogan of the station is "She's only rock and roll," and that's when I had a chance to try out for Playboy. Playboy asked me to do a spread, no pun intended. I had to turn them down, but I did get the offer. A bunch of the DJs did it. It was the women of rock and roll. There were like 4 women from around the country. I don't even want to say their names. It was off. I was so glad I said no. Because when you tell Playboy, okay, yeah, I'll let you shoot me, they get to shoot you naked and you have nothing to say about it. And Playboy's not Penthouse, but they had the right to shoot anything they wanted and then determine which they want. And I'm like, nope, can't pay me enough money to do that.
Oh, wow.
But probably shorted my career in a lot of ways, but
Kept on driving past that off-ramp.
there you go, Mike.
Again, I feel like you made the right decision on that one.
I think you did okay.
Again, I feel like it was the right one. There are many comments about Voices of Love. D saying this is something that he would love to contribute to. He's always trying to encourage other folks with disabilities during their dark days. There's constant comments, hearts of, I love this. This is amazing. This is such a great idea. Thank you for this. This is a delightful idea. There's so many. Yes. Again, we are making the correct decision.
Yeah. I love that. So thank you all for wanting to join in and participate. I want to include everyone that would like to use your voice in a loving way this holiday season.
Great. We do have a question. And I think that you answered this, but I'm not sure. For the Hooked on Phonics, did you do anything for the animated commercials?
No. What happened is the original owner of Hooked on Phonics sold it around 1993, 4, something, 95, somewhere around there. They sold it. And then the people that, what was the program? It was in the learning centers for people who need learning centers. They bought Hooked on Phonics, and then they invested in all the animation, and because it was a pretty rudimentary program when we started. It was literally cassette tapes and a book. And then they started animating it, and then it was digital and it was online. But I was done with it at that point.
Okay. I have a question for you, Randy, about, we were talking about live announce stuff before. I think it's been a weird several years for everyone in pretty much the world.
Yeah.
In our industry, we went through a lot of weird stuff. It must have been really weird for live announce. Like, what was that journey like, coming up on March of 2020 and then going through those years and then getting to where
I did nothing in 2020. 2020, anything and everything I would have done was canceled. 2021, things started to come back. But I don't think any of the shows that I do, the Academy, we did our honors, those were in 2022. So really everything just went away for a couple of years. And then I was recording a lot of live shows, but these were live on Zoom. I mean, I don't know what they were doing. They were trying to do things and needing an announcer, and it was really horrible. I was so glad to watch the CMAs the other night because it was just great to hear live music from Nashville, and Melissa Disney was the announcer, and it was the night the strike ended, which was when that aired. And it was a live show. It was just great to hear everybody doing what they love again.
And so are things back? Like,
I think so.
Not quite.
No, I think they're back. Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Well, D. Elvis is saying the center he thinks that you were talking about was the Sylvan Learning.
Yes, Sylvan Learning. Exactly. Sylvan Learning bought Hooked on Phonics. And that's who I think owns it today.
Okay. We have another question from Kat. What was your most challenging linguistic job, tongue twister wise?
Probably some of the Oscars.
I bet.
Yeah, because those names. See, now, I don't speak Spanish, I'm embarrassed to say. So I had a major director I was announcing, Eugenio Derbez, Eugenio Derbez. But I didn't know how to say Eugenio. I thought it was Eugenio. I don't know. It's terrible. So I did that, but it was only in rehearsal, and I couldn't get it. Like something in my brain was not letting me understand Eugenio. So I finally said, "Can you just record him saying it?" Because when I watched his mouth, then I got it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We all learn things different ways. If I see the mouth and how it's moving, I understand it. So maybe I'm more of a visual learner than I am an auditory learner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We all learn differently, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely am. I have to see it too. It's like names, people's names. I am terrible at people's names. And I was a full-time yoga teacher for a bajillion years.
Oh, gosh.
And I still know people's injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I know their
But you can't remember the damn name.
I cannot tell you their name.
Oh, gosh.
Unless I write a name down or repeat it 3 times in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
I've learned that trick. So it was like, so if I'm like, sorry, what's your name? Randy. Randy, really nice to meet you. So Randy, tell me about something.
Right,
Keep
right.
repeating the name. And if I at least do it 3 times and then I see you within the next 48 hours, I've got your name. Otherwise, it's like it's locked in a box.
I have people that think I am such a bitch because I have met them numerous times, and then I see them and I'm like, they look familiar, and I'll go, "Hi, I'm Randy." And they're like, "Randy, it's so-and-so."
Yeah.
Like, I've met you and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm so sorry." And I feel like that's such a narcissistic trait to not remember people, but I really want to remember names and that I've met them, and I'm just bad at it.
But I think in all fairness, when you get out in the public sphere, especially, speaking at conferences and things like that, you meet a lot of people.
True.
Doing award show, you meet a lot of people. You meet a lot of like production teams and, people in Hollywood and people in LA and agents and this and that. And so I think you can forgive yourself.
Okay, thank you.
It's hard. It's hard, right? But,
Right. It's like in my neighborhood, we have 1 million dogs. I know all the dogs' names. I cannot tell you not one of the owners' names.
Yep.
Priorities.
Yep. It's true.
Sure.
It's very, very true. But dogs, that's just pure beings of light.
I know they are. They're the greatest things ever. I love cats, but kind of dog-centric, right?
Do cats and Great Danes work together?
Oh,
Is that a thing?
They can. They can. But I live in Malibu where we have lots of coyotes in the hills here. So when you have Great Danes, they open the doors themselves because I have sliding doors and they just slide it. So you cannot have a cat because if the cat goes out, coyotes are going to get it. So no cats in my life right now.
We've started this entire part of the chat where ADHD, face blind.
I definitely don't. I love it for sure.
People are finding the reasons here.
Oh no, Annie's like, Emmy, you probably have you're probably ADHD, and I've actually been tested for ADHD, and they said no, you're not. I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't. Well, I know I'm crazy. That's just that is.
I have found that all of especially getting to this point in life at my age, I have found that all of the people that I love the most, they're all wackos. In one way or another, everyone is a little nuts. And I think it is so great. We're all like kooky in our own way.
Yeah.
And, we embrace it.
And Annie, you are totally fine. That is exactly what this chat is about. Crazy is a requirement. You're damn straight that it is. Jessica Marr says, hello, Randy. It's such a pleasure to be here and to hear about your career. I noticed that we're both from the Midwest. And I wonder if you've ever done any live announcing in my hometown of Minneapolis.
Gosh, no, but I would love to.
Love it.
I would love to. So, put in a good word.
Yes, you never know. I think Jessica's in LA now, or I could be making that up. Because we met at the Sofas last year.
There you go.
Yes, we did.
Cool question from Tom.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Randy, what's your experience with imaging, affiliate industry, its direction and its future?
Well, I think imaging is a great way to earn a living. So I'm assuming you're talking about radio imaging as opposed to branding for television affiliates. So radio imaging, for those of you in the audience that do know, that's the voice of a radio station that reminds you what the format is, why it's so great to listen to the station, what's coming up that's interesting and exciting. And it's the voice that is never the DJ. So DJs in radio come and go, but the imaging voice tends to last even through morning show changes and other major personality changes. The imaging voice lasts. What I love about imaging is that regardless of the market size that you're working in, if it's market 160, maybe they can only afford to pay $200 a month. Like, I don't know. That's a lot even, probably. Maybe they only pay quarterly. But the thing about these gigs is that you can expect a check once a month, depending on how much work you do for them and what that amount is. The contracts last for a year. So once you get into the imaging game, you want to have more and more stations because say you have 10 stations that pay $300 a month. That's not bad.
Yep.
Because you generally are only working for them once or twice a month. You don't work every day for most radio stations. Once a month, they send you a copy. That's part of the deal. How many paragraphs or how many pages that they can send you in a 12-point font. But I like to know that I'm covered for a year. And so you have enough of the radio stations, you get some television affiliates, which is what I also do a lot of. then, your monthly nut, you know what it is.
Something that not all of us have the luxury of having in voiceover. It can be so feast or famine sometimes.
Correct. Just when you're chasing commercials, it'll pay you in the moment, but promo does not give residuals. So it's the tissue paper of the industry. So, and imaging is pretty much the same, because what we're doing this Thanksgiving on X radio station, that's done. It's going to end in 5 days. They're not going to need it again, but they'll need the Christmas imaging, and then the New Year's, and then back to music in January, stopping the Christmas. So there's a whole flow to that kind of work. And because I came out of radio, I love radio people. I love management. I love DJs, and I like being a part of a radio family.
Jessica's asking if you've done any stations in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
I actually have not. I would love to be on the air in Minneapolis. I think I had a station a long time ago there. The closest I've come is I did my TEDx talk in Fargo.
Oh, wow.
Not too far, right?
Love it.
Linda is asking, Randy, what do you do to prepare for voiceover recordings? What do you do to prepare your voice for recordings?
Well, you try to keep your diet clean. I'm really big on protein. I like protein. I'm not a vegetarian or vegan. I do eat meat protein, but I'm very big on most of my diet being protein, clean protein, bone broth. I start the day with a cup of bone broth before I have coffee. That way I've got 20 grams of protein in my belly before I'm assaulting it with coffee, and I'll max out at 2 cups. I did bring a 3rd cup in for this radio conversation that we're having. But so I would say sugar, don't do sugar. I would love to see everybody cut out sugar over the holidays. Things get stressful. The more stressful life is, the more likely you are to have an emotional reaction to things. And it's our emotions that can really undercut our health, our ability to stay well can be affected greatly by emotions, and it all starts with too much sugar. So cut the sugar out. You'll be happy you did.
I am literally like a toddler having a temper tantrum if I have sugar. If I have like processed refined sugar, I am an absolute train wreck. Like I go up to like the super high, and then I have a tantrum, and then cry, and have to go to bed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I just don't. I don't drink it. Or
that tells me that your body's pretty clean, and so everything you're putting in it, you're feeling it. I just saw a fascinating interview about breads and pastas. Here in the United States, when you eat bread and pasta, it has enriched flours and things, and what those contain are so bad for us that we literally can have mental breakdowns from it. It can send our personalities all over the place, like Emma was just saying. So I try to not eat anything that comes from boxes or cans. I try to keep it fresh, and
So prepping for VO, besides the clean eating, we'll call it, what else?
I just do a lot of water. When I'm doing a show, I'll do hot water with a little lemon at night, just hot water. I like, again, clean protein, veggies that are, sometimes some raw veggies, but I don't let them bring in the box of candies and all that stuff a lot of times they want to give you that because you're sitting around like, no, take that out of here. So, yeah.
And is the voice always like ready to go? Or...
No. When I wake up in the morning, my voice is so deep. It's ridiculous.
Me too.
I sound like a man. If I answer the phone, sir.
Right. Me too.
Yeah. Give me a minute. So, no. So I have a deep voice already, which is why I would never prefer to record in the morning. Midday, afternoons are great for me. And then, of course, nights, like it's 5:30 here. I'm in good voice right now. If I had some work to do, I would do it right after this Clubhouse chat because I feel like my voice is nice and warm.
Yeah, it's true. I'm the same. I have a natural deep voice, so in the morning, it's always been that.
Yeah.
I always find if I got auditions, if I'm on the roster and I just get like the female audition and it's female 18 to 25, I'll raise right back. I'm like, I didn't sound 18 to 25 when
you were 18.
18 to 25. So I'm going to pass on that one, but thanks. Appreciate you.
I'm a believer in, if you don't think you're going to turn in an audition that is as good or better than anyone else on the roster, don't send it. Like, don't even do it. I don't, because there's so many younger agents that work at Atlas Talent that are hearing me, and because they're previewing everything before they send out those auditions at the end of the day. And I'm like, I don't want them to hear me sounding bad. And some things I'm just not good at, like character stuff for video games. Don't send me that. It's not what I do.
But it's good. It's like you said earlier, it's know your strength, know where understand.
Know where you shine.
Where you shine, yeah.
To the positive. Know where you shine. Know what your lanes are that you can do believably and naturally. Because it's one thing to get coached into an audition or read for something, but then, okay, so you book it. Now when they are sending you copy, say it's a promo gig, every week they're going to send you something. Do you need to go get coached in order to read that promo? It has to be such a natural part of who you are, because that's what they heard in the audition, and that's what they're going to expect from you every week when they send you copy. And so that's why when my people in promo, we always want to help the editors do their job the best way possible. So I'll read it T to B, say it's a 20. I'll read it T to B, top to bottom, and then I'll maybe read it again. Usually I'll trash the first read. The second read might be my T to B, and then I'm just going to go line by line and read each line until I feel like, yeah, that's how that should sound. That's how that should sound. And then I'll pull some of the ones out that weren't stellar. But at least when I send it, so now the editor has, or the audition person listening, they have a full take, then they have a series of alts that it just can give them comfort that, oosh, I didn't like the way she said it here. Oh, but she covered me here. And then when we're recording our auditions, whatever amount of alts you're doing, just always make your last take or last set of a particular line the fastest. Because a lot of times my editors know, well, she always does the last one the fastest. So they'll just go right to the third one because that'll be the fastest. So yeah, because they depend on you and you know what they need. So they don't have to write you and go, hey, can you do this again?
Like a pattern of predictable behavior and performance so that they can go get what they need.
Sure, because you're a team, Their job is to make the best promo possible, and you want to help them the best way you can.
Yeah.
And when you deal with editors, a lot of them care so much. You really just want to cover them 9 ways to Sunday, as I say.
Randy, when we have guests like you on who are, in those, I would say, like the elite genres that are the harder to get to echelons, like the promo stuff and the live announce at your level and things like that. We have listeners on the show at every level of their career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is something actionable that if somebody says, well, I want to make live announce one of my goals in my career at some point, or I want to make promo one of my goals in my career, what are maybe, 1 or 2 actionable steps that someone could take to go towards that goal?
Okay. Well, practice, of course. Find the channels that represent the kind of programming and promos that you think you can pull off. Some people are the DIY kind of people, and I picture you, Mike, like I picture you being able to do like a, house hunters, DIY. I don't know. Like I picture you being able to pull that off. But so wait, again, refocus me on the question. See, I told you I'm ADD.
So
losing it.
somebody who wants to go after, let's say, promo we're talking about now, or live announce. So
find the channels.
Promo side, find the channels, yeah.
Yeah, find the channels that represent the kind of read that you can provide, whether it's a narration for UFOs, that kind of a channel, or whether it's a home and garden or cooking or, e-entertainment. Find the channels, then listen to the promos, write them down, and start recording them. Like, just play with them. I think you have to do it, and you have to do it enough that when that opportunity comes, it's just going to be second nature. So you want to study. Joe Cipriano taught some amazing promo masterclass. Not everyone can take it, but I'm sure he's actually got another program that can take you through all the steps to learn promo. If you want to do live announce, you can find the people that do it. Queen Novine is out there right now. She is booking everything, and she's so super talented. And she's on TikTok teaching people and showing people what she does and offering them opportunities to nail a read inside one of those 2-box things on TikTok.
The stitches, yeah.
Yeah. So she does those. Study. You can study with me. I got to work with Stephen Johnson, who had booked his first live announce at the People's Auditorium, the public auditorium in Cleveland. And when he told me it was for Forbes 30 Under 30, and he was there for 4 days, I was like, okay, so this is how this is going to go. And I went through it. And then boom, within a day or two, he was at Forbes. He was at the public auditorium doing the job. I had taught him everything that could possibly happen. I even reminded him to take his 416, which he did, and he was so glad. And so it was such an amazing experience for him to pay to study with me so quickly. We did 2 lessons, and then boom, he put that training right into action.
And it's
so
his birthday
it was
today.
At a mastery level.
It is. It's his birthday today. It's Stefan's birthday.
Yes, I wrote him a happy birthday.
If at some point you listen, because I don't think he's in the room, but if at some point you listen, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yes, Celia was at the Forbes event, and she said that he kicked bum. He did a really, really good job. So.
Oh, so she was there?
Yes, she was there with Aya. And they were hanging out. So she said that it was really cool to witness him.
Well, and
then going straight into it.
Yeah, he's so good that they brought him in as the announcer. And then by the end of the first day, they were asking if he would give one of the awards out on stage. Oh, I love that. So I'm like, they obviously felt he was comfortable with his job.
Yeah.
So that was kind of exciting.
I love that. All right, Annie is in the audience. I totally forgot. Annie was the winner of one of Joe's courses last week. He gave one away, and Annie started it, and she's saying that the course is great. It's got a really nice format. So, because he's doing the intro to promo and masterclass online, that it's go at your own pace.
Yeah, well, that sounds amazing. I'm really curious how that works for you, Annie. So let us know.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy, on your end, if somebody did want to reach out for coaching, is that something? Can we drop a link? If they wanted to get
they can just go to my website, randythomasvo.com, and I think you can book me from there. Like, I do a thing where the gal that set this up for me, Shovita, she's like, well, you have to charge people to talk to you. So it's like a $25 talent assessment fee. But if you write me in advance, I don't always make people pay. It depends on how much time they need to talk to me. But really, it's just to understand what it is you want to do. And then I sort of send you off in a direction to make it achievable. Because I don't think people need to study with me right off the bat. I think I charge a lot. And if you're just a beginner, I'm not the place to start. But I can tell you classes and people to study with that you'll save so much money. And then when you're ready to book the gig, when you're ready to audition for the gig, that's when you can check in with me and I'll help you really nail it. But you got to go out and do the work on your own, to really get to that place.
Yeah, Jeff Howell was saying exactly the same thing when he was on talking about promo, about coaching, and it was that whatever genre it is that you want to work in, you have to understand the genre, and the only way you're going to understand the genre is by paying attention to it, by watching it and listening.
Immerse yourself. Yeah.
So if you want to do
full on immersion
on TV, you're not helping yourself.
I think sorry, go ahead, Randy.
No, you go.
Wasn't Brent saying something similar about trailer?
Brent Allen Hagel.
Yeah. Like study. Watch YouTube. Just.
But it's true. It's like Jeff was saying the same thing. Randy's just said the same thing. Everyone says the same thing. Watch it, pause it, write it down, transcribe it, and then practice it.
Yeah. And then make it your own. Don't try to sound like anyone. Yeah. I remember early in my career, people would say, well, how do you know how to sound? And, so I would use Don as an example. And I would say, well, if you can do a Don impression and you want to read a promo like Don, do that. But then from that, if you do it enough, you're going to find where it really lives in your body, And so you can sort of channel Don, but make it your own. And so I feel like, because when I started, there were no women in live announce. There were no women in promo. And when you hear me on ABC, they get the most masculine reads out of me. But that's how I started. I started with Don, and I'm like, live from, it's this voice came out of me. It wasn't feminine. It wasn't like super female. It was me channeling my inner announcer that I had only seen men do. So, and now when you hear women, they get to have these cool affectations in their voice and still are doing the same job that I'm doing, but they're making it their own. And I'm like, you go, girl, make it your own. That's the game.
We're even hearing now more women doing the sports events too.
My girl Rachel. She's so proud of her. She's killing it in promo right now. It's so great. Leah Hoffman, she's just, I bow down to that woman. Just love her. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's fantastic. So she's voicing the NHL, and you're like, yeah, you are. Yeah.
And it's women that probably never thought they would have a shot at it. But if you do the studying, you find the people that are doing the work, just put yourself in that arena. Like I got to spend the day with Don in his limo. And before that, I only kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. But sitting in a limo, going job to job with him, we went to 18 jobs that day, collecting his after. I think he made over $32,000 in one day. And I'm like, wow, this is, but I had that visceral feeling of what it's like to be in that car, that limo that he had, driving up to the trailer houses, driving to NBC, CBS, getting out of the car, opening the door to the recording studio, and they're, Don, welcome, Don. So glad to see you, Don. Can you come back later? We're going to need you again. I was like, I got that loud and clear of what it feels like to, one, be at the top of your game, be so respected, be so kind that people loved seeing him. He was just the most kind man ever and successful. And so I got to see what it felt like. And I knew that I wasn't going to have a limo driver, but darn if I didn't make my husband drive me to a few gigs.
I love it.
I just want to remind people of a few of the things we talked about tonight that are important for Randy Thomas. One Dane at a time. If you are into Great Danes and rescue and things like that, listen back to the replay. Obviously, you can catch the website there. The other project that is in its infancy, but it will snowball. We're calling it. Randy has called it Voices of Love, And do get in touch. We put Randy's email for that in the chat. And also Drums of Grace was something else we talked about tonight.
Yes.
And thank you so much for all these great initiatives and for being with us tonight. It's been an amazing, amazing night. Did you have
Thank
fun?
you. Thank you both. It's really been a lot of fun. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but you have set me at ease and you've made this super fun. And I appreciate everyone that spent time in the room listening. Thank you. And I look forward to hearing from anyone that wants to contribute to this little project.
Thank you, especially with this project. Yeah, absolutely. Please, everybody, do reach out. Pick the category that you feel that you would have the most success in. Like it resonates the most with you, whether it's hope or gratitude or family or caring or kindness, whatever it is that kind of resonates the most with you. That's how you can figure out what you're going to contribute and go from there. Ready? This has just been an absolute joy. Thank you so much. I just adore you. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel the same way. Hang on. I want to do one thing. Okay, I grabbed it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And you guys are the best.
Thank you. So, Mike?
No, it's your turn.
Was it my turn?
It's your turn.
Where's my turn? I don't know what's happening at this
It's
point.
all.
Just tell me what to say.
I'm going to ask you what I usually ask you around
exactly.
this time. What's going on next week?
Yeah, see, it's your turn. So next week, apparently I thought November was promo month because we have Dave Walsh coming to join us. I know. Dave Walsh is going to be talking about truth-telling. He's going to be talking about the development and the growth of his view and program and approach. And if you haven't worked with Dave Walsh, you have to. He makes everybody cry.
If I can just add on to that, Dave Walsh, when I wanted to become the voice of ABC News, I hired him to coach me on what I would sound like becoming the voice of a network.
Wow.
And we worked on it, and that's how the job with Nightline came about, and then my continued work as the voice of ABC News when they don't use a guy. But so Dave Walsh, his wisdom is immense, and when you can tap into what he's all about, and it's like I said, when you book something, it has to be your true thing, your real thing, because you can't go ahead and get coached every time they send you copy. It's just got to be who you are. And that's what that True Tell does. It taps into who you truly are so that every time you read, it's honest and real. And that's what those casting directors are listening for.
If that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. And so...
Well, we haven't been doing shameless plugs all night, so I'll do one for Dave because he sent an email out today. He's got a Black Friday sale on his coaching. It's 50% off. What? Yeah. I know that. So go and find Dave Walsh, True Tell, Dave Walsh, voiceover coaching. Look for, I can't remember what his site is right now, but I know that he has a Black Friday sale happening right now on his.
Yeah. And if that's your dream, you should really figure out a way to budget that.
Yeah.
If promo is your dream, do it.
Nice.
So true.
It's been another awesome night. Thank you again so much, Randy. Folks, if you've enjoyed the show and would like to catch more of the Voiceover Roundtable, please check us out wherever you get your podcasts or go directly to our website, VORoundtable.com. We hope you'll join us next Tuesday evening live here on Clubhouse, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific for the Voiceover Roundtable. Until then, have a good night and a good week. And to all of our folks in the U.S., we wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Love to you all.
Thank you so much. Good night.